Hello, Dima. How are you doing?
Hello, my friend. We've missed you last week.
I feel like it's been ages.
It has been ages.
Absolutely ages.
Yes. Yes.
You've
How
got
are
a
you?
whole new background. Your lighting looks fabulous. What's going on? You look great.
I'm settling in.
Perfect.
Finally, the boxes, cleaning up all the boxes. Just two more boxes.
More boxes. The boxes don't stop, right? They
Yeah.
just keep. You're like, where did you put all this stuff?
Behind me. So, okay, the question is, how was your trip? You had like a really fun week. Tell us about your trip.
I had a great trip, and thank you for asking. It was I was long overdue for a cross country driving trip, and it was something that me and a buddy of mine from college maybe started back in January. We had this idea of going on a hunting trip to Wyoming, and we made it happen. There were so much has happened between January and when we went, but there was much more than the hunting trip. Like I got to experience some alone time, some guy time, and some time with nature, which was awesome. And then I even got to go to places I've never been, which is sort of renewed my faith a little bit. And like they say, chicken soup for the soul, right? I really had some amazing times that filled my bucket on this trip. And I was lucky enough to wear my pink along the way, right? I wear my pink. I don't know why I'm having a problem showing that off. To wear my pink and support breast cancer awareness and take some really cool photos. So thank you for asking, Dima. Thank you. You had a good time too, from what I heard. We had an amazing show last week. Is what I heard.
It was great. We had such a wonderful guest speaker. It was wonderful. And I know we have another amazing guest speaker for today. I've been looking forward to our show for a long, long, long time. So my friend, Alysson Bourque, and I met Ali at a book signing event. I was signing Breaking Vases, and she was signing her books for the Alycat series. So I know so many people, I think all the time, they say they have a book in them. I have some friends, they have book in them for like 10 years plus. So I believe that Ali has a lot of great messages to share with everybody, whether it's the writing, the publicity. She'll talk about her new company. So let's bring Ali on.
Let's do it. It sounds like we have a lot to talk about. Let's bring her on. Ali, there you are. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, guys.
Good to see you. So glad to have you part of the show. I got a little chance today to kind of freshen up and learn more about you. There's so much that we have to talk about. You're an author. You just started a new company, just like Dima said. So I'm going to let Dima start it out. I don't even know where to start, Dima. There's a lot to uncover.
Well, we're good,
Rob. A lot to talk about, but I'm excited.
Tell us about yourself, Ali. Tell us, you have such an interesting journey. Oh my goodness. So tell us about your journey.
I do call it a journey. So my journey started with the whole writing. My motivation for writing started in college. I wanted to go to law school. I knew I loved to write. I ended up teaching school. I graduated elementary education. I taught school for a year, but I always wanted to go to law school. So I did that. I taught school. I went to law school at Southern University in Baton Rouge. And I practiced law as Assistant Attorney General for 7 years for the state of Louisiana. And I really enjoyed it. I love the writing aspect. I love the litigation. But I had 2 young kids at the time. They were 6 and 4 years old. And I just wanted to stay at home with them for a little bit, just kind of cherish those little memories with them. And I decided to take a year off of practicing law. So it was my temporary retirement. So I did that, and we read books every night at our house. And so my husband and I were reading books, and our bookshelf is like overflowing with all of these books, and my kids are screaming for new books. And so I tried to be frugal and say, well, why don't I just write you a book, instead of just buying a new book. And they jumped for joy, and they were jumping on the bed, and they believed in me. So that was my aha moment that made me believe in myself. And so, long story short, we put them to bed. We read a book that we had, and I went downstairs, pulled out a piece of paper and a pencil, and just started writing. And the Alycat series was born there with the very first book.
Wow. Wow. So I know where Allie came from.
Yes.
Cat. What's the story of the cat?
So I love cats. I love all animals, but cats are just such funny characters, like they do really crazy, wild things, and they're so unpredictable, which is a lot like children, and I mean, just keeping it real. So
it's too true.
It is so true. So I knew I wanted a cat character, and when I was in about third grade, I would just kind of daydream in class, and my imagination was huge. I would start daydreaming about all kinds of, far off lands, and my teachers would actually snap and say, "Alycat, come back down to earth." And so,
wow.
And so that name for me means someone who likes to be creative and imagine and go off into these far off worlds, and kind of go on these journeys.
Did you always, I mean, there had to be some really good stories that just kind of went, right? They came and went, but did you always document them by writing? Like how did you capture them in most cases, do you believe?
So I never actually sat down and wrote any of my stories that I imagined until that night when my children were jumping on the bed and, that aha moment. And so when I did sit down that night, it just kind of came out. It like spilled out on paper. And when I do write now, it starts from the very beginning of the story and it just spills out. And I used to write poetry. I write trial briefs a lot. I never had time to sit down and write children's books. And so it's just something that was always in me, but I just never gave myself time to do.
Wow.
Does it still come naturally, or do you have to force yourself through a process or some other ways to just kind of be creative? Is it still naturally flowing like it was when you started?
It is. It's some authors come to me and say, "Do you ever get writer's block? Do you ever think, oh no, I don't have any stories left?" And for me, I'm kind of like, oh, my mind is just, I have all of these stories, and I attribute that to being just observant and aware of my surroundings. And so if you watch children or even adults, I mean, you can kind of put yourself in their shoes sometimes. You can watch what they do and how they react and imagine them doing something different. And that creates a story in itself. And I always try to look for something that is lesson-based, because my books are lesson-based books. I want them to be relatable. I want kids to learn and problem solve at the same time being creative and using their imagination. So, yeah, I guess I do have a lot of stories in my head.
So, Allie, do your children help you as you're writing new books?
They used to. My daughter is now about to turn 12, and my son's about 10. So they're kind of in that middle grade novel. And but I always run everything by them. I'll start a story, I'll leave it, little cliffhanger, and they'll finish it. And we just collaborate with it, because I think it's helpful. You want to write with a tone of your reader, and that's children. So why not have children help you?
Yeah, and you were talking earlier about the writer's block. Do you think part of it is because this is a children's book, so it's easier to be creative with it compared to if you're writing a memoir or writing a novel?
It probably is a little bit easier. I know it's easier for me. Some people say that it's hard for them to kind of tap into their childhood to remember how it was and how children speak in dialogue and narrative. I know for me it would be really hard to write a novel. I want to. I have stories, but it would be hard for me to actually sit down and sit still and do that. And the whole editing process with that is a long process too.
Yeah.
Now, Allie, you have these ideas, you start writing them down. I mean, what happens after you write them down? How did you know that you wanted to share them? Did you, I guess I just, there's so much that goes on once you've actually, captured this story and your kids like it and it starts to gain some traction? What happens after you write this puppy down?
So I wrote the whole first book in a manuscript, and then I started researching. I used my law degree, research, and I found that if you want to be published with a traditional publisher, you need to submit your manuscript to literary agents, or you can go the indie route, or you can self-publish. And so I did like a little practice run and self-published a few books, which was great because I was able to see what the industry was like. I ended up sending out over 100 different requests and queries for a literary agent with my manuscript.
Wow.
And I got 86 rejections, all in about 6 months' time. And it's such a tough process to go through. You have to develop a thick skin. Dima, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's why they call it traditional publishing. They're so traditional in their mindset. Mm-hmm. I apologize for any traditional publishers listening. Oh my God. They're so uncreative, in my opinion, and they just want things to be all ready for them. Mm-hmm. Like it has to be everything perfect in order to accept it. Is that your experience, Allie?
It is, and I feel like, I can try everything, but it's almost like, is it a who you may know kind of process? Is it if you submit for 10 years, finally, I don't know. And so I was really discouraged after getting, over 80 rejections. Every time I had tears and I took it to heart. And one night I was just kind of starting over again, sending out another 100 manuscripts out, and I hear my email go off, and it dinged. I checked it, and it was my current publisher, Mascot Books. They read my manuscript. They're an independent publisher. They wanted to publish the book, and they wanted to speak to me the next day. And so I ended up signing with them in 2015, published in 2016, and have published a book every year since.
Wow. So then you write this down, you send it out, you get 80 plus rejections, but what about those? Was it the one? Was it your current publisher, or did you get those 10 yeses where it's like, oh crap, what do I do now?
She got no response from
I got no responses. That's what happened.
Who cared about them anyways? That's what I'm saying.
I'm surprised you only got 14 non-response. Usually it's so much more.
Oh, not okay. I see. Golly, yeah, I can understand a thick skin you had to have there. Now, was this process done, electronically, where you could send this via email or submit this on a website, or zip it up, securely and send it to somebody, or did you have to? What I imagine what used to happen, where you go and you print out all of these things and put them in this big envelope, and you go to the post office and spend $13.95 on shipping and have to wait and pray and and wish and hope. How does this happen? How does this work?
Well, I definitely waited and prayed, but I did it. I did. Waited, prayed, and had a glass of wine waiting, So I submitted electronically, and a lot of them have a form submission, and a lot of them have emails that you submit. And it's very tricky because each literary agent wants it their own way. And it's like, you have to know exactly how they want the subject line to look. You have to, it was so much red tape. It took forever. And I know why, because there's so many people who publish books, but it was a long process.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Okay. So you have a lot of lessons learned. Mm-hmm. You've applied them multiple times, and now you're helping others to do that. Is that what I'm guessing?
Yes. So I have kind of spent the majority of the last 5 years doing author visits. I go to schools across the nation with a giant Alycat mascot. He's like 6 feet.
Oh, that's awesome.
And little dolls and a dance.
There's a dance. There's a song on iTunes. Basically anything that the kids
Nice.
I just make it happen. So So I've done that over the last 5 years. And of course, we all became quarantined with the pandemic. And in March, I was just kind of longing for that community and that interaction. And so a really good friend of mine, Lori Arlinsky, and I decided to, and Haley, because Haley takes part in all of our little
yes,
author
youngest guest to date on the Chit Chat with Dima and Robsha.
She's incredible.
Where's your bracelet, Rob? I still have it.
Oh
somewhere.
my goodness. I have it downstairs. You won't believe this. I actually thought about it. I was like, I got to wear this puppy tonight. I have it downstairs, but I needed to grab this since I'm all out of my pink shirts.
Bracelets.
So, sorry, Haley. It's downstairs, I promise.
She's incredible. She's inspiring, and she makes you want to work hard as an adult, because if a kid can accomplish as much as she has accomplished, then we can do the minimal, you know?
Agreed.
Yep. So Lori and I decided to start Ask an Author, it was kind of like a little podcast where we'd have guest authors. Dima was so gracious to come on our show, and we actually interviewed authors. They got to tell their story, answer questions, and we just kind of kept that author community alive and enjoyed it so much. We had schools that were actually watching some of it because they were remote learning. It was really great. And so I guess maybe during the summer, we started getting more and more calls from authors saying, can you help me? I need help marketing and with publicity. And so, you know, we were talking, we were helping them. And we just decided to just give it our all and start a publicity firm and start just helping authors. So I'll never forget, like, we were outside texting. Well, we need a name, you know, like we have to have a name. And so we're going back and forth. And finally, after a few hours, we decided on Foreward Publicity because, you know, it's kind of a pun. You're moving forward, but it's a book forward. And, you know, our tagline really says what our motive is. It's built by authors for authors. We've been in their shoes. We're like the guinea pigs. We're here to help, and we love it so much.
Yeah, it's so great. So I have to say, so before I knew about your new company, before I was so impressed with all the work you were doing to continue to promote the Alycat series. Like, there's always something interesting, to a point that one day I saw that you posted about the Academy Awards, where you put one of your books in each of the swag bags.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, how creative is that? And wow. So tell us about that.
That was so exciting. That was in February. And thinking back to that feels like ages ago because, you know, in March, everything kind of shut down. So I got a call that one of it was kind of an agent that puts together these, it was the Oscar swag bags. And they wanted a children's book because a lot of the actresses and actors have children that were nominated. And so they asked me if I'd be willing to, and I had a new book that was coming out in March, which I had copies already. So I said, absolutely, I'll do that. And I actually threw in all 4 books and 4 plush toys. They got the new book before anybody else. And it was
awesome.
It was so cool to see. We got to see the basket at the Four Seasons hotel rooms of all of them. And it was just an amazing experience to know that happened.
So your clients.
How do you line that up? That is just so amazing. I mean, that's definitely a resume builder, but that had to be kind of stressful, I would imagine, to a certain extent. Just wondering how you're going to pull it off, or if you're going to pull it off, if this is really happening. That's got to be so cool.
It happened within a week and a half. And when I was first talking to the agent, I really didn't believe. I was thinking like, oh, I'm getting scammed. This is, you know, but I have to go for it. And, you know, it worked out. They gave me just a couple of days to ship these books to LA.
Wow.
I called one of my best friends, Amy, and said, hey, look, you're really good at wrapping things up and making them look all nice. I need your help. So we went, and then my twin sister met me at UPS. We sent them out. I got there in the nick of time. And yeah, so I wish I could have gone to the Oscars. I mean,
yes, I think that would have been a good idea.
Alycat went.
Alycat went, but not Ally.
And went home with the Oscars.
I know. That was so cool. Tom Hanks got one. That was really cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You have to be super proud about that. I mean, I can't imagine too many people can say that.
It's a really cool experience, and I was on such a high with that news, and I was on several different news stations talking about it. And then within 2 weeks, the pandemic happened, and all of my author visits were canceled. But I'm so fortunate that I had that experience in February, because it just was something I could hold on to, when everything else is just kind of just shut down.
That's so true. So now when you're working with your clients and they're experiencing the writer's block, what do you tell them?
Well, whenever they're experiencing the writer's block, I tell them to either maybe take a break from it. So let's say you're writing and you get this block and you can't figure out what goes next. I like to tell them to take a break, but do something creative. So you can stay in that creative mode. So go paint or sketch or listen to music. I love to listen to music when I have, a block or, I'm kind of stuck with something. I often tell them to outline their characters with traits, do something fun that kind of helps organize your thoughts. I like to make a playlist for my books, and people are like, that's so crazy and weird. But
I like that.
You can do that with YA novels. You can do that with picture books. And it just kind of sets the tone for your book, and it kind of brings that emotion out and puts it into your writing. And so there's a lot of things you can do. Of course, outlining. And a major thing that I tell them is to keep a notebook and a pen with you everywhere you go, even if you're at the ballpark or in your car at a red light, because you never know when those ideas are going to come back, after your block.
Yes, such good advice. Wow. Okay, I have another question, Rob, before we go to you.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So so many people, as I mentioned earlier, they keep saying they have a book in them, and they tell me the stories. I have a friend I was mentioning earlier. He has a book in him for like 10 years plus, and it's such a good idea. So for these people who are walking around with a book in them, what tips do you have?
My tips would be to find other writing groups. Like SCBWI is a great writing community. Get involved, network with other authors, follow other authors on social media, follow hashtags like writing community. That's a great hashtag. You get to see what other people are doing. And if you interact with people, you just never know where that will take you. And so if you're stuck with maybe a book inside and but you don't really have like a clear vision of where it goes, of course, research. Do a lot of research. And just remember that writing is meant to be fun. It's supposed to be a passion. And also when you're trying to kind of make your writing better, if you're stuck because you don't know, read. Make sure you read other writers' writings, because that will help you kind of and guide you and motivate you to keep going.
Yes.
So I heard some really good ones. So you're saying maybe read other authors, create a playlist, listen to music, do something that you use to get away, or I mean, what's the most creative advice you've given someone to get past writer's block beyond like the ones you just said? Like, has there ever been one where you just plucked one out of nowhere and be like, no, you really need to go see an Airbnb in a tiny home somewhere in Montana for 3.5 days, and that's gonna, yeah, that'll work. That'll do. Have you ever given something crazy or creative like that to get someone
It probably does. Yeah, it probably does sound crazy, but I did tell somebody, I was like, go to a park and watch children, like watch. I know it sounds crazy.
Terrifying for moms and dads.
We don't want that to come off strange. They're not allowed to,
For something crazy. I mean, go. I've told them, go to a park, go to the jump zone, or a museum. Maybe bring another child with you, or if you're going to a park, bring an animal so you don't look weird. But
look, I imagine if they want inspiration, all they have to do is ask to babysit any one of my kids. That's totally fine. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a visit yet. I mean, go to a park, sure. You're not doing any help to any of those parents.
Yeah.
Get over here and give me a break. And I'll give you all the inspiration you want.
Creativity, Rob, then. I think they'll need some Tylenol.
Oh my goodness! Wear a mask. We're gonna wear a mask, but still, come on over here. Help me. Don't we go looking at kids at a park? That's strange. I'm joking, Allie. I'm playing. Help me. No.
You might, to see other kids interact, you get a lot of content. I wouldn't suggest going being, creepy and watching other kids, but I'm a mom, and I watch how my own kids talk to each other. It helps with dialogue. It definitely can come up with stories watching your own kids.
Yeah.
I love that, because you kind of, and especially if it's a children's book, right? You kind of engulfing yourself in the zone. Like you have to connect with those surroundings, and that's sort of stimulus to know the audience you're going to reach, I would imagine. But honestly, just getting out of the house would be enough inspiration for anyone during COVID. Just get out. That will help. But yeah, I've got to imagine there's some things that work for some and maybe not others. And that you have to kind of vary it up for whatever crowd or audience that's asking for the assistance. But,
right. I'm giving advice.
I figured there had to be a story there, Allie.
I'm giving advice for someone who's writing a children's book. I wouldn't tell a male with no children, hey, you need to go to a park and watch kids.
Right.
Yeah. But if you're writing a novel and you have a scene that maybe is at a baseball park, go to a game, watch for those details, see what they're eating, just see their motions and their movements of the people around you. Just observe and research.
Yeah.
That brings Dima had me thinking about connecting with your environment, or practicing, some sort of meditation or some way to connect with the senses around you. Although a lot of times we don't necessarily do that. I remember Orhan, a friend of ours, had us, you had to hold this fruit, right? And then hold it with your eyes closed. What does it smell like? What is it, is it squishy? Is it firm? And just writing some of those small details down that seem so trivial and minute and dumb, honestly, in most cases, was enough to get just some momentum going with writing more and letting and really that was just an exercise to get you to write, to get you to open up, and I could see how that could pay dividends doing something like that, going to that park, going to that ball game, or getting in that environment to really connect with everything on a deeper level might actually help with the creativity.
So even think about when you're reading a book. Most of the time, we're more interested in the details. So as you're reading, you don't want someone to just tell you big picture. We want to see what they were looking at. You want to hear what they're hearing. You want to taste what they're tasting. And so that's what, Allie, you're trying to have your clients think about, which is very powerful.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of us want to fill the gaps in too. So is there a balance between giving enough detail and then holding back at least some for the readers to fill in with their own imagination? Do you ever have to strike a balance there?
Absolutely. Because, just for example, hair color of your main character. If you're writing a novel, you want someone to imagine maybe the hero in their own imagination, you know. So some of the details, unless they really matter, I wouldn't put in hair color or just like eye color. Yes, it's important, but you have to let your reader kind of decipher and imagine those things themselves.
But don't you think that comes with the graphics, like in your situation with children's book? It's coming anyway, so they may sometimes don't write it because they're seeing the pictures.
Right. For picture books, the pictures are supposed to tell the story, and so the narrative is really just a conversation, and the text is just the conversation of the characters.
Good point. So, do you ever have a problem writing like you might have the idea, but do you have a problem finding the words for a child to understand? Although we are relying a lot on the illustrations, do you sometimes have a problem simplifying it and making it easier to digest?
Yes. So
I imagine this is, it seems easy reading it at night, but there's got to be a lot of thought behind this to make this as successful as you, like having an award-winning book.
So when I wrote my first book, I had just stopped practicing law, and I still had that law mentality. So a lot of the words I used were really big words, and so kids were like, "Mom, you know, kids don't say that." And so that's where that whole listening to your reader and what they say, and tap into like all of their verbiage. And so I've actually adjusted over the years with my books to be less lawyer-like and be more childlike when I'm writing.
Wow. Love it. Wow. Okay, so tell us about some of your clients. Are they mainly children book authors, or are they all kinds of authors? So tell us some of their stories. Tell us some success stories.
Oh, we have some really amazing clients. And, you know, this is something that we have a passion for. My business partner, Lori, she loves books as much as I do. She just got a tattoo of a book on her wrist. We just love our clients, and we love their books. And we have clients internationally now. We have a Canadian client. We have U.S. clients. Most of them are children's books. We actually have a fiction short story, which is really great. And one of our clients, Paula Quinn, wrote a book called My Hair Went on Vacation. And it's the sweetest story. So her daughter, Rosie, has alopecia, and she was diagnosed at 2 years old. And so when she was younger and people would ask her about her hair, her friends would ask her, she would make up stories of where her hair went. And she would say, we went on vacation, they went here and there. And so Rosie and Paula ended up writing My Hair Went on Vacation. They just published it. It's an amazing book. It just won a Gold Mom's Choice Award, and we are just loving being a part of their journey. So their nonprofit is Coming Up Rosies, and all of the book proceeds go to Coming Up Rosies. And so Coming Up Rosies is they send smile kits to different kids who are going through different medical journeys, and they can make scarves out of their own coloring. They can color and make scarves out of it for themselves, and superhero coats. And it's just amazing to hear all of these authors' stories.
Wow.
We have another author, his name is Adam, and he has a book called Abracadabra Whoopsie. And so it's about sibling rivalry, which we all can relate to. And so the brother gets a magic wand, and he wishes to make his sister disappear. And then he loses the magic wand, and he struggles because he has to be able to find his sister. It's so cute.
I love this. Wow. I love the world you live in.
I started doing my Kidlit Picks segment here in Lafayette, we have a news channel called News 15. And so every Thursday for the last 2 years, I go on the show and I highlight a new children's book of another author and, get to share their journey. And it's definitely my calling. This is what I was supposed to do. I mean, law was fun, but this is better.
This is more fun.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So we were talking earlier when you and I had a call today about resilience and how we can survive in the world we're living in right now. And I know you have a lot of good tips you want to share. So what enlighten us? What are your tips?
So one of the toughest jobs of being an author is being resilient. We're scrutinized. Every word that we write, every word that we say is judged against so many other books and so many other standards. And you really have to develop a thick skin. And I think that's where that whole journey that I went on with querying all of those 100 literary agents and getting the rejections. And finally, I was able to just kind of develop that toughness about me. And so, I really believe that the resilient ones are the ones that are built to last. And the authors that are there for the long haul are the ones that are the resilient ones. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you have to be flexible. You have to adapt. You can't compare yourself to others. There's always going to be somebody better than you out there. You just have to be really self-aware and stay positive to be one of the resilient ones.
Yes, you said so many amazing things. So you're right, like handling rejection. So you're talking about the 100 times you were rejected, or maybe the 99 because you got one. But also comparing. It is so easy to compare ourselves to others, especially in this world, especially with social media and everything we see every day about what people post. They don't post the bad days. They don't post when they're sitting and crying and or being overwhelmed. They're posting when everything looks perfect.
Yes. Yep. And, this pandemic has really taught us that we need to adapt. We need to kind of shake it up a bit and change the way that we're doing things. And we're going to be okay. This too shall pass. We just have to be resilient and take it one day at a time.
I have to imagine too, that's tough. If you're talking about people have stories in them and they need to traverse this crazy landscape to either get noticed or get published. Doing that solo has to be a crazy journey in its own right. I mean, it's got to be pretty nice to have someone the likes of Lori or Linsky to kind of pal around with, bounce some ideas off of. And I mean, if there's not stories there, you two both seem like delightful people that are doing great things, not just with their stories, but with their own families and their communities. So, I mean, I love hearing that a lot of these stories have depth behind them beyond just the story itself. There's a lot of depth behind the family dynamic, how this comes about, and the journey you're passing along for others to experience, because this is going outside of your family into other doors and maybe in an Oscar, grab bag or two. And that's got to be pretty fulfilling to, like you said, to land this sort of job and to fall into this and to now be doing this with Lori at Foreward Publicity. So congratulations to you. And how long did you say you've been doing the Foreward Publicity thing? How long has it been?
Just a couple of months.
Couple of months. About
17 clients already, just by word of mouth.
Dima, did you have 17 clients in a couple of months just doing your own thing there?
No, she's very humble. She didn't share something big deal, which is one publisher reached out to her and is asking Ali to help their people, their authors with publicity. That's like more than 17.
Come on. That's awesome.
We're very busy. we have a lot of late nights. Last night I was up till midnight, doing contracts, reaching out to influencers for our clients, helping them submit to awards, reviews, podcasts, read alouds. And we really enjoy it. We really enjoy doing this. It's such a passion. And we're so fortunate to be able to do this. And I hope that we can do this for, forever. It's just amazing to be a part of another author's journey and to help them, because we know firsthand how hard the struggle is. And, we're both type A personalities, so we have no problem, just kind of working at all hours. We're just built for it. So
there's got to be a rush to that too, right? Kind of exciting. It's still new and fresh. You're still, you got to be putting some finishing touches on some of this stuff still. It's got to be, the paint's still drying in some cases, and you're still very successful very early on. That's got to be very exciting.
It's very exciting. I can tell you, Lori and I are very hard on ourselves. There's times where she'll call me and she'll say, do you think we have enough influencers for this one client? Because we do influencer outreaches. And so, I'll look at our spreadsheet. She's the queen of spreadsheets. She had to teach me how to do all these spreadsheets. And I'm like, we're good. We're good. We have 200,000 followers for this one author. We have our threshold was 100,000. We're good. And then there's times where I call her and I say, I feel like, this press kit could be better, or they need a trailer. Let me make them a book trailer. And so we just really, she finishes my sentences. I finish hers. We work really well together. People tease us because when they interview us, sometimes we will finish each other's sentences or say the same things. And they're like, "Oh, y'all are like twins," and I have a twin. Like I do.
Oh yes.
And her name is Lauren, not Lori. But yeah, we're so alike in so many different ways.
I love it. So, Ali, is there something you would like to leave our viewers with today? One final thought.
One final thought. So, my thought is that, I know right now is really tough with the pandemic. It's tough for moms. It's tough for authors. It's tough for teachers. And we just need to take it one day at a time and like one step at a time. And, if you have a story inside, write it, reach out, find an author buddy, find a writing community. If you need help publishing your book, reach out to us. We're willing to help. If you need help marketing and publicizing, we have customized plans for any budget. And so we just love what we do. And I just hope that people keep writing because it's such a way of coping, and it gives readers the tools to cope too.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's such an honor to be on your show. I love your show.
Well, I love your show too.
That's right. Because we're running, you have your own show. We were talking about that before we started Chit Chat today. And, gotta now I have another show to watch. So that's good. But definitely, Ali, I have to say this was a lot of fun getting to know you, getting to hear more about this, and getting to meet you tonight. And of course, please give a warm hug, high five, or email out to the Orlinskis and that amazing family. And so glad to see that y'all paired up and did this thing together. This is great. And you're based in Lafayette. Did I hear you say you're in Lafayette, right?
Yeah, so I'm right outside of Lafayette in Sunset, Louisiana, and Lori is in Chicago. So
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Just covering the entire Central Time Zone. I see all of the Central Standard Daylight Time there. So, look, I can't wait to hear about your success some more. This has been awesome getting to know you. Thank you so much for being on our show, Chit Chat with Dima and Rob. Just a quick reminder to anyone out there, if you have a guest that you'd like to suggest, please let us know. Any comments, drop them here on the posts. And by all means, we'll see you next week. All right. I think we have another great guest on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So Thank you, Allie. This has been amazing, and we really have had an honor having you on Chit Chat tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great one, and stay safe, everybody.